Hey everyone, it's Bradley Bush with a Matlab tip for you. This is actually a really useful one. I've used it a lot in my academics, and I think it's a fantastic one to share with everyone. This movie deals with publishing in Matlab. So if you have a script that you're running, say you write an M file and you want to present it to someone, or you have to turn it in for an assignment, if you publish the M file, then you can format it using just simple markup language, and it can make it look actually really nice. It makes it look really professional, and it's a great way to share your work. So let's talk about a file here. I have, say I want to turn in a lab. This is lab 1, and this is what I'm going to turn in for my assignment. You can have a title. The very first code section, this is one of the big differences between a normal M file and an M file that you're going to publish, is that you have code sections. If you see that where my cursor is in, it is a yellowish color and the rest of it's white. So if I go down, each of these sections are different code sections, and a code section is delineated by a double % sign that you see there. So if the very first code section will be your title, and whatever is up here in the top next to the double % is going to come up as the large header at the top of your document. Make sure that there's a space after the double %, because if you don't, then Matlab doesn't recognize it as a proper code section. So that's important. Matlab and this markup through publishing is actually very sensitive to spacing and where certain characters appear in the lines. So please be mindful of that. If you're playing with something and you can't get it right, try to play with the spacing and where things are placed in the document in your words. And I'll give you an example of that a little bit later. So the first section of code is just your header. The second section will start a table of contents for you automatically. You don't have to do it yourself. It does it for you automatically. So it's great. So exercise 1 here will be the first item in my table of contents. If I have a code section that doesn't have anything written right next to it, so I have the double % sign and then it's blank, then it will either just treat it as complete text and format it as really nicely written text, as I have here. I just have text. Or down below, if I have code in here, then it takes the code and it puts it into a gray box that is the typical markup box, and it lets you run things. It looks really fantastic. One thing to be aware of here, if I have actual code that I'm running, then I need to have a space in between the double % sign and where my comment is that talks about my code. Because if I don't, if it looks like this, where I have my double % and then I start directly below with my code and my comments, then it will take that first comment in line 13 and it will treat it as the title for this section, and it'll put it in nice, beautiful writing apart from the rest of it, and it won't look like you want it to look. But if you just have text in there, no code, then you don't need to worry about having that empty space. So one thing that you should keep in mind if you're turning this in for someone, or if you're giving it to someone, it's hard to follow your code or your work if all the code comes first, and then all of the output or all of the graphs or whatever you have for your output is all at the end. That's super hard to follow. And so the way to get around that is actually super easy. You just put things in these code chunks, these code sections. Because, for example, this plot command I have in line 21, that will be inserted into my published document right after line 24 when it puts the grid onto the figure. So all of the plots are placed right after, directly after the section where the code is that called the plot. Or if you have other output, say you have some output that you're going to be putting, you need to show something. You can easily put whatever you have to show directly after the code that created it by simply putting that code that you used to create it in its own code chunk or code section using these double percents here. So there's no reason to ever have a non-coherent document that you're giving someone, because it just takes literally seconds to just create a code chunk just by putting in the double percent, or you can come up to the editor and insert it here. So if you insert there, it inserts a code chunk. So it's super, super simple. Let's see what else we have here. You can also explain a lot of your results. So say you have a graph where your code spits out some information. You can also write your comments, because sometimes you need to say, hey, look at this graph at this spot. I'm not sure what's going on. Or for your assignment, you've got to have some type of discussion about what your results are. You can do that all here in a code section, because you can make things look really nice with simple markup. So markup is similar to the formatting you see on a web page. So you can explain all of your results here. You can, I'm just reading my commenting here just to make sure I don't leave anything out. You can use standard markup like monospacing or bold. The two multiplication signs do bold. It's just normal markup language. And or you can do italic. You can do the bullet. You can do numbered lists. You can insert links to web pages. Here's a link I put in to markup language information for you. And you can even use LaTeX. You just have to put whatever you want text up to, you have to put it in between these double dollar signs. And again, the monospacing, you use these vertical lines. So everything can look really, really nice. And I told you I would give you an example of when spacing is kind of temperamental. So let's do it here. Let's publish this, and I'll come back and keep talking about it later. To publish it, you just hit the Publish tab at the top, and then you hit the Publish button. So really, it's not hard at all. You can see here we had the little title there. This is the bold captions at the top. You can write whatever you want, your name, your class, your lab number. And notice exercise 1, like I said, is a hyperlink, and you can go directly to it from the web page. So this output was in HTML. HTML is the default output for publishing. If you need something else like Word or LaTeX, or you can put it in PDF, you can change those easily in the publishing feature, in the publishing settings, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's go down to where we are. So notice this is the bullets. You see the monospacing, you see the bold, you see the italic, you see the bullet, the numbered list. Here's the beautiful LaTeX, and here's the link I put in that takes you to the web page that talks about publishing markup. So here's a whole bunch of code right here on the right that you would want to do for any of these items on the left. And there's a lot of them. So just check it out. Please, the link is right here at the top. If you want to just type that in, you could probably also Google it. But going back to this, notice the bullet is there, it worked, right? But if I just delete this one space, line 37, watch what happens. All of a sudden, I don't have the bullet. And notice it's right here. So it's as if the markup didn't recognize it, and it just put the star and bullets along with the italic. And that's not what you want, right? So the only difference in the two literally was that one empty line with a comment % symbol there. So again, if you I totally put that in the wrong place, didn't I? That's what happens when you have a hard time talking and doing code at the same time. Some of us have a hard time multitasking like that, and apparently I'm one of those people. So let's keep going. You can make things again look really, really nice. You might have multiple parts in a problem. So here you see exercise 2. We want exercise 2 to show up in the hyperlink as a hyperlink in your table of contents. So exercise 2 is here. It's a hyperlink, I should say, in the HTML format. If it's in the PDF format, I'm not sure if it's a hyperlink, but you still see a table of contents. So I put exercise 2 here, but I might not want part A to show up in my table of contents. So I don't put it up here in the title area. I don't put part A. If I put part A, it's going to show up in my table of contents. So let's take it out, and notice if I put it directly below, then it reads that as a title. And let's check that out quickly. So you see part A right there shows up as a nice title. So it's an easy, clean way to make your document really presentable and really readable and really nice. You see that the graph shows up right below the text that the code that created it. So no one has to guess where the output goes, what code produced the output. It's just kind of maddening sometimes to have a bunch of code and then a bunch of output and have to scroll through it and try to find what goes to where. So this solves all of those problems. Let's see what else I have in here. Notice here I have notice here I have a space in line 58, and here I do not. Let's check out the published document and see what that looks like. So notice part A came up as a title, and part B came up as just text, which isn't what I want. I want it to look like this, part B down here a little bit lower. So what's the issue there? Notice down here for part B there's a space, and the line directly below the $% symbol again is the title. So if you don't put that, if I don't have a space here, then it thinks it's all just text, right? And it's just going to format it all just like it's nice text, and that's it. So let's try this one more time with that space and see how it looks. So now we have the part A, which is the same, and my part B looks like it did before. I mean, sorry, it looks like we wanted it to look but didn't. So everything here can look really, really great. Looks like I've got a typo. Should fix that. Let's see anything else here. Sometimes, here's a great thing to remember. Sometimes you have code, you have a main body of code, say, that's your M file. But sometimes you're calling a function that's an outside function. It's not a built-in function. It's something you created yourself, and you wrote it, say, for example, hello world.m. That is a code, that's code that I wrote right here, and it's in this file called hello world.m. and it just accepts X, which is the number of times that it prints out hello world. So if you're calling that function, which I do right here, sometimes people might want to see the function you called. And you can easily put it in the same document by using this type command, type space, and then the name of your document in quotes, or your M file, the function file in quotes, and it types it out. So let's look. Where is it? Here we go. So here's the type command. And then you can see that it printed the entire function content that I had, everything in the function. So no one has to, you don't have to include separate files. You don't have to have a bunch. You don't have to zip everything because you've got a lot of stuff going on. You can just simply print it out in your published document. And then later here you can see that I called hello world and it printed 3 times. You can create your own anonymous functions also, and then call them, and the output comes out right below the function call, as long as that's in just one code chunk. So this has been an overview of how to publish in Matlab. Again, you can publish to Word, you can publish to PDF, you can publish to HTML. If you want to publish to HTML, you can publish to HTML and then you can print it to a PDF if you choose. You can see here Adobe PDF, and then you hit OK and you can save it as a PDF. So if you like the format of the HTML more than the PDF, you can still get a PDF version of this HTML. But you can also change the settings. So if you go here to publish and edit publishing options, down here the output file format, you can just see the different options: XML, LaTeX, a Word doc, a PowerPoint, or a PDF. You can just choose PDF. And if you wanted, you could change a bunch of things up here and then save that as a template for future publishing. I'm just going to choose PDF as my output file format, and then I'll hit publish. Takes a little bit longer, but it's still pretty quick. And here we have our document. Oh, it looks like exercises are still hyperlinks in the table of contents with the PDF. So that's good to know. So you can see everything we have. It's just in a PDF form already. You don't have to save it at all. It looks slightly different, but it still has everything that we had before. It even numbers the pages in your document automatically for you. So publishing is a great way to make your document look professional with very little effort on your part. There's a little bit of learning curve with the markup language, but if you use the link I sent you, or you could even Google it, the markup is actually really easy to pick up, and with a little bit of effort you can make your document, your research, look really professional and really clean. Hope you enjoy this. If you did, let me know what you think in the comments. You can subscribe to my channel, and hope you have a great day.